What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. I'm in a weird state at the moment. I have a loose plan for this video, but this video, it's one of those ones you don't have a pressing topic to talk about, but for whatever reason you feel like you need to talk about something. And I think part of this feeling comes from starting the testosterone stuff. Not TRT or anything like that, but the animal pack testosterone booster stuff. The vitamins, the pills. I'm only a few days in, but there have been a couple changes. Branching off from the foundation multivitamin packs were building up. One, I shot an entire slug out of me. That shit had me shocked. The second thing is, when I'm tired now, I am very tired, but when I'm amped, I am very amped. Which is odd because lots of the time you'll hear about people messing with their testosterone and then they enter a new and better baseline. Whereas in my new, brief, limited experience, I go from feeling like Pim from Smiling Friends, that image where he's lying out dead almost, to Sugriva, whose toes are those with the vegan hot dog, straight monkey screaming, and it's put me in a weird emotional spot. I feel like I've talked about this in a video before, maybe it was in the notes, I'm not sure. Even if we did, we are retreading the ground here. I've been fascinated with Night Rain, playing it solo for a few weeks now, because there's something emotional and intense about playing a game that is designed to be a cooperative game solo. Night Rain feels like a mountain you're supposed to be climbing collaboratively, but you're choosing to do it alone, and it is a mountain. I've never practiced for a game like this. It's been a long time since I've studied a game like this, and it's been over 10 years since a game has made me feel this way. And the way Night Rain makes me feel when I am setting out to do an actual expedition with the intention of beating it, it feels like when you used to play League and would be gearing yourself up to go into Ranked. It's that exact same feeling, Ranked anxiety, which is odd because there is nothing at stake here. This is a totally solo experience. You aren't competing against anybody else. There's nobody on your team you can let down or who will tilt you. It's you versus a situation not engineered for you to win the way you're doing this. And it's funny because I'll watch channels of people soloing Night Rain Depth 5, which is the hardest, and stomping it out entirely, and you know you're nowhere near these people's skill level, and you probably never will be, but God, it's like you feel like a child listening to stories of mythical heroes. You'll never be a mythical hero, but it makes the difficulties you're dealing with feel more surmountable because you know people have existed, and in this case do exist, who can do a much harder version of what you're doing and make it look easy. Solo Depth 5 Night Rain videos are my pacifier and blanket. But I think I'm fixated on this game because of what it represents. It's the gamified and made simpler, made possible version of your succeeding where you alone are not supposed to succeed. And it took me almost a month to beat the first boss solo, with everything at its easiest. And this game doesn't hold a candle to real life, but symbolically it does. ritualistically it does. The feeling of knowing even if you had help, you'd still be out of your depth, but you are alone, and there isn't a silver medal or a bronze medal or a participation trophy. This is sink or swim, kill or be killed, first or last. And it all comes down to you and what you'll do to see that you get through it. For some people, it is throwing themselves into expeditions raw over and over and over again until they get somewhere. For me, it is technical repetition and extensive study, learning to watch for the fading of a particular dirt particle during an attack so you know when to dodge, because that's the most consistent way to lock down the dodge. Highly technical shit, which I'm using mods for, by the way. Using mods also to run around fucked up versions of the map and making little speedrunning courses through different areas so you can get the reps in and to know where you need to go. Mastering as much as you can all the little parts and then putting them all together. But even then, there shouldn't be deep anxiety for that. It's a single player game, PvE. Why are you so anxious about this? And in terms of time investment, it's 15 to 40 minutes max. Well, part of it is I have to piss all the time, and it's so frustrating. Even when you're offline solo, you can't pause. And I have to piss a lot at the best of times. You add anxiety on top of that, I have to piss constantly. You watch these... Actually, you might be watching it right now. You'll notice when I get to boss zones, my character will stop. That is me sprinting and pissing as fast as possible. Speed running the restroom. Piss running. PDQ. And what I think it is, because this is ritualistic, is the deep fear of, in real life, your preparations being the wrong preparations. Either you prepared incorrectly or you prepared for the wrong things. Or fear of your own incompetence, having everything you need in front of you and then butterfingersing it, fumbling it, nagling it, and then ending up shit creek without a paddle and nobody coming to save you. It's the fear of failure mattering and you're being the only one accountable for it. But that's also what makes it a rush. That's the exact reason sitting in one of these mod arenas and practicing one boss for 40 minutes, trying to get all the dodges down, that's why you do that, because of that rush. Getting better at a game, yes. Beating bosses, yes. But also, symbolically, overcoming a challenging situation alone without a safety net. And this is a big deal to me because this is the way life feels. If you want to try to live your life on your terms as much as you can, or as much as anyone can, you'll be doing this alone. You can sometimes get help from other people and actually receive the help, but even in these small situations, you're paying for it somehow. And usually that price is a small fragment of your soul. Or depending on the sort of the help or whether or not you're a good negotiator, it could be a large fragment of your soul. Because I don't know if this is the case for other people, but people have never liked me. Even when I was a kid and I would try to do things with as positive of intentions as a person can have as a child, there's always been some kind of repulsion from other people. Like you're being nice the wrong way. Or what you think is being nice, golden rule, do unto others as you would want done unto you. You tried to do that, do unto others as you would want done unto you. And, or what I mean is, you would be happy to have what you're offering somebody. It's an attack of some kind. Or you're walking around with your dick out, metaphorically, and you don't realize that you have your dick out, but to everybody else, you're the guy with his dick out. And that's a big problem. And even now, when I try to do things that are from the soul positive, which I don't do pretty much ever anymore, learned not to do that, still, it'll come across like you have your dick out. And I have never been able to figure out why. What's the disconnect? What's wrong here? So, to fit in with other people, or to receive and participate in this social support network, socialization, you need to be somebody who is not you. Which is obvious, yes, but with socialization, it seems like some people are able to make themselves, their core selves, their inner selves, socialization aligned, socialized. So they can be part of this social network, give and receive help naturally, and be themselves without needing any degree of faking naturally. And that's never been the case for me. For me, it's always needed to be mechanical, machinery. And machinery you don't fit all that well in. It's hot, it's cramped, it stinks, it pinches you, it burns your skin. And even when you practice and man up and force yourself to do this, to participate, to deal with this, it is never for 1 second natural, which is probably why the ASPDs fascinated me so much. But see, the thing is, we aren't ASPDs. There might be small overlap in the interfacing with society part, but we aren't close to the same creatures. And unfortunately, we aren't close to the same creatures as normal socialized people. It feels like we are bizarro world normies. We are socialized, but we're socialized to a system of socialization that is not present on this plane. Which is odd because it feels so clear. To us, anyway, or to me. And it's even odder because these actions that repulse people, like they're antisocial, both, to me, feel pro-social, and I would argue are pro-social. But if it's not exactly typical socialization, then it's a problem. Being nice wrong is the equivalent of being mean. And that arrangement will never change. It doesn't matter how you feel about it or what you think should be. All that matters is what is. And this is what is. Meaning, if you intend to live your life by the standards you feel inside, then you'll be doing this alone. Because just by being you, you are isolating yourself, even if you are putting yourself among other people. And if you are putting yourself among other people while trying to live by your standards, you're putting a target on your head. And that's where a lot of my spite comes from. You'll notice most people's goals with you is to enter your space and try to get you to conform to what they believe in. And nothing is more irritating to me. Because you don't see me going around trying to force people to be what I am. Now, my hostility is growing, but that isn't an invasive and subversive hostility. That's a contentious hostility. I'd rather you die as who you are than you become what I think you should be. Or when it comes to all the different sorts of people and all these different values, I'd rather we stay separate and retain ourselves than try to synthesize and become something we aren't. Both out of principle which is pretty, or a prettier idea, but that's bullshit. But also because that doesn't work, in my experience anyway. If there is difference in the beginning, then there will always be difference. And because you need to, you figure out how to deal with differences. But the problem is always dealing with difference means suppressing yourself in a way you will never get over. You're better off in the long run figuring out how to beat this game by yourself. And this is another thing about the conforming to give and receive help and all this. That's assuming people are at all trustworthy, and they aren't. You end up doing uncomfortable things regarding your soul and your values and who you are to receive a pointless stab in the back, or a sting in the back if you want to do the scorpion and frog thing. People will majorly fuck you for no reason, and it'll hardly register to them that they've done anything wrong. And this isn't analogous to what I was talking about earlier with having your dick out. Having your dick out is like bringing peanut butter cookies to a party where everyone in attendance except for you, all their parents died from eating peanut butter cookies and you didn't know. I'm talking about you make life easier for somebody, or you give them a deal on something, or you give them some slack on something, and then they stab you. I gave you, not loaned you, $100 to do this or that, and then you stole $300 from me. I covered for you when you fucked something up, and then you threw me under the bus knowingly to get out of another thing that you fucked up. And it's baffling the way I imagine gravity would seem baffling to people from another dimension. How strange this is, and how constant. From everybody. There is no exception to this. If you deal with anyone over a long enough period of time, they will fuck you over in a major way and act like they didn't do anything. And that's the other thing about this. It'll come out of nowhere. It'll come out of absolute nowhere. And every time you have one of these incidents, it gives you more and more reason not to trust anyone, or to rely only on yourself, at least for important shit. Not to deal with people unless you absolutely have to. Or if you are interacting with them, then they are at a nice, safe distance. And I don't understand what world people are living in this doesn't happen to them. Because you explain this to anybody and they look at you like you're crazy. But then the last part of this is you're trying to figure out where you are in all this. That's something I've been feeling weird about lately. And I thought about it in terms of cakes. I feel like part of being alive is trying to figure out exactly what you are and exactly what your role in the world is. And it's crazy we've gotten this far and it's still not quite clicking. Because lots of people, with the cake thing, they won't have all their ingredients. Because they'll refuse to look at or to acknowledge any aspect of themselves that doesn't align with their vision of themselves. So they will probably never bake their cake. One of the pains we've been dealing with for the last however many years has been trying to identify and to acknowledge and to accept all of those parts of ourselves we don't want to deal with, we don't want to look at, that don't fit our vision of ourselves. So we can hopefully get a vision of what we actually are, so we can bake our cake. But where I am now, I feel like I have my ingredients, but I keep trying to bake the cake and something keeps fucking up. The cake isn't coming out right. In other words, I have a, a pretty solid understanding of the ingredients that make me as a cake, but I'm mixing them wrong. And I don't mean putting parts of myself together correctly. I mean, I'm misunderstanding the way these parts fit together. Because they're already fit together, so maybe it's more like the cake is already baked and you are trying to reverse engineer how it's baked. I recognize I am on level a bad person. I'm not a good person, I'm not a saint either. I'm also not evil. I am mostly a low frequency bad person with some good points. And you have all these ingredients that allow you to recognize these things about yourself. And you think that should allow you to understand who you are and where you fit in things, especially because you already are a person and you do fit in things, but it's your understanding and you don't understand. You are misapprehending yourself in some key way that you can't get a handle on. And it's like all the ingredients are the correct ingredients. We have the correct ingredient list, but we are assembling them incorrectly in a way I don't understand. And I have no idea what I'm missing here. Am I missing some ingredients I'm unaware of? Or is it one of these things, the answer is in front of me, but I'm so low level at the moment, I can't comprehend that it's in front of me. It's uncanny, the feeling you've done all this work and you feel like you are right up close to the finish line, or at least a finish line, because you know the moment you have this revelation, if you have this revelation, it's going to start up another cake baking investigation. But there is some keystone clue you can feel. You can feel its presence. It's close, and it should be obvious, but you are just not getting it. And another thing, you know it's not some Kung Fu Panda shit. That's the corniest shit. I hate these cliche sentiments. If there is a God, God is good, because you well know when you've had one of these revelations, or you've identified the clue. You feel like you have you feel like you blew the load I referenced at the start of this video. You've birthed a slug. There is a secret ingredient, and you know perfectly well when you've found it. Why do you think satisfaction exists? You people these oh man, my brain is short circuiting. I'm having a Sugriva moment. I'm champing out. Contentment needs to be preached and practiced and reinforced the way slavery needs to be preached and practiced and reinforced. Whereas satisfaction and freedom, those need no brainwashing and, more importantly, no language. They are self-evidently the best. They are beyond language. And you are right at the cusp of some kind of satisfaction, and you just aren't getting it. Which, framing it this way, that feels frustrating, but the last few days it's felt more odd, and uncanny was the word. You know yourself well, but not in the way you need to know yourself for this next step. But I think we will cut it here. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.